Vasco da Gama was a Portuguese explorer. He was the first European to reach India by sea. He started from Portugal on 8 July 1497 and reached Calicut on the west coast of India on 20 May 1498. Vasco da Gama's voyage resulted in spice trade between India and the European countries. The Portuguese from Portugal, the Dutch from Holland, the French from France, and the British from England came to India for trading. They set up trading posts all over the country. Soon rivalry developed between these settlers in matters relating to control over trade and colonial possessions. It was the British who emerged victorious. The British formed the East India Company in 1600 CE with the permission of the then Mughal Emperor, Jahangir. During that time, India was divided into small kingdoms which were constantly fighting with each other. The British took advantage of this situation. They would help one ruler defeat the other, and in return they were gifted with large amount of money and land. The British exploited the Indian farmers, soldiers, and textile weavers. In 1857, the Indian soldiers revolted against the British in the First War of Independence. This was the Sepoy Mutiny. The main cause of this revolt was the introduction of Enfield rifle. The cartridge of this rifle had a greased cover made of the fat of cows and pigs, and it had to be bitten off before use. This offended the religious sentiments of both the Hindus and the Muslims. The Sepoy Mutiny sowed the seeds of Indian nationalism. In 1885, the first political party of India, called the Indian National Congress, or INC, was formed by a British civil servant called Alan Octavian Hume, along with other educated Indians. The moderates were involved in lawmaking and administration. The younger members of Congress decided that strong action was needed to make the British accept their demands. They were called extremists. In 1905, Viceroy Curzon divided the state of Bengal into East Bengal and West Bengal to create a division between the Hindus and the Muslims. This angered the people, and their protest was so strong that the partition was cancelled in 1911. Indians boycotted British goods and started buying Indian or Swadeshi goods instead. British-made goods were thrown into bonfires. The Swadeshi movement was the first movement that made the British face the ire of the people. Mahatma Gandhi asked the people to stand united against the British as Indians. He practiced satyagraha, which was based on the principles of truth and non-violence to oppose injustice. Thus began a new phase in the freedom struggle of India. The Rowlatt Act was passed by the British in 1919. It gave the British the power to arrest anyone and send them to jail without a proper trial if they protested against the government. A peaceful protest meeting was held on 13 April 1919 in Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar, Punjab. On General Dyer's orders, policemen blocked the only exit of the park and began firing at all the men, women and children present there. More than 1,000 people lost their lives that day. The shocking massacre of innocent people in Jallianwala Bagh led to the formation of non-cooperation movement in 1920. This movement was led by Mahatma Gandhi, and he urged the people not to cooperate with the British. Lawyers boycotted courts, children boycotted schools and colleges, and Indians resigned from British jobs. People also refused to pay taxes. In 1928, the British government appointed a commission under Sir John Simon to handle the law and order situation in India. The committee did not have even a single Indian member. It was greeted with a sea of black flags, protests and cries of "Simon, go back." Indians were lathi charged, and Lala Lajpat Rai was severely wounded in this fight. the British introduced the Salt Law. According to this law, it was illegal for Indians to collect salt freely from the coast. Instead, they had to pay a large amount of money to buy it from the British. This led to the civil disobedience movement. Gandhi disobeyed this law by leading the Dandi March on 12 March 1930. In 1939, World War II broke out. The British forced India to enter into the war without consulting any of the Indian leaders. Indians refused to participate this time and demanded freedom. In August 1942, Gandhiji led the Quit India movement, in which he asked the people to do or die. He and other leaders were soon arrested, and massive protests occurred all over the country. Subhash Chandra Bose founded the Indian National Army, or the Azad Hind Fauj, in Southeast Asia. He gathered support from the nations he visited. His famous slogans were Dilli Chalo and Jai Hind. On 15th August 1947, India became a free country. Dr. Rajendra Prasad became the first President of India, while Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru became the first Prime Minister.